stuff. Y'all in the camera now.
Come on. Let's go. Can you watch a movie? Y'all finna go to eat. I want to watch a movie. You're gonna sit down.
Hey, uh-oh. Let me see. I'm trying to see if y'all can hear me. Can somebody let me know if you guys can hear me? I got my headphones in. All right. Thank you from the media team of getting me squared away with this evening far as tonight. Thank you so much, media team. Shout out to my man Minister Barnes for helping me out with getting online. Um, I want to try to be very diligent in our time because I know you guys have other obligations or whatnot. But as far as this evening goes, I see we have a few people already logged online. Um, in our chat box, you're more than welcome if you want to, um, you know, shout out to who you are or, say good evening so we can be able to know who I have online. Um, I'll start there. But also, too, if you guys by chance need um, the book of Master Your Emotions that we were going to be covering during the small group, please let me know. I've sent it out through our leadership page as well as through the other pages within the ministry. But my thing is, I don't know who's accessed it, so it makes it challenging to know who has access to it versus who doesn't. Um, so if you need a copy, or if you would like a copy, so you know how to follow along, please go ahead and either send me a message so I can know how to get that to you, because I have an electronic version of it where you can be able to access that information. Okay. All right. I actually started this small group a couple of weeks back, and I've been having the opportunity to be able to try to resume the small group. And as far as this evening goes, I mean, I know we had a flyer that indicated if it was going to be in person as well as online. Good evening, Sister Jayla. Um, I wanted to make sure that we have, participation or whatnot. And I know people have things in the evenings. And so ultimately, I felt like online will probably be a little bit more strategic to give people the opportunity to be able to participate. Um, and so if you don't get a chance to be able to um, get a chance to review the feed for this evening, we have it on YouTube as well as our Facebook page. So um, I'll go ahead and get started. But like I said before, either when we end or during the presentation, if you guys need a actual digital copy of the book, please let me know so I can make sure you get a copy, because I don't know who has access to it or who's downloaded or reviewed it. For this evening, we'll just do a real quick review. Okay. And so, with that being said, I'll just, on my presentation right off the back, it didn't even show the book. But I had said previously in our last time we had met, or first time we met, that this evening, far as like the small group, I wanted to make sure the disclaimer is out there that with this small group is just solely informational. Okay. And with it being just education, an educational group, is used for educational purposes for information. And so, with that being said, I went to a training about a couple of weeks back, 2 weeks back, and the presenter shared on his slide. He said, "Which one is better, information versus transformation?" And so a lot of people felt that information is key, but ultimately the longevity, a long term outcome, what that we want to reach is transformation. And so for tonight, we're definitely going to provide information about the topic of master your emotions. Okay. Um, Also, too, with the this small group, I want you guys to understand that if there is a need for any mental health services or counseling services per se, there is a chain of food chain of demand of how we got to follow that order. And what I would like for you guys to understand is, I mean, myself, I am under our mental health division of LCC. But if you don't feel like you want to, talk about anything specifics mental health wise, you can definitely go to Bishop or follow up with our admin, which is Elder Glover, Minister Neville, as well as my wife, Japonica Bowler, and they can relay whatever questions or concerns that you have when it comes to mental health, and trying to get that information to the proper channels. Um, as Bishop previously mentioned, we're not doing any mental health in our church, but it could be more on the lines of referrals, or if you feel like you need any services, definitely feel free to reach out and ask so we know how to orchestrate that. Okay. Good evening, guys. I see we got a few people online. It's nice to see you guys this evening. Um, so, education purposes. All right. Um, Real recap, a quick recap. So, the different areas that we're going to follow on this evening is going to be number one. What are your emotions? That's number one. Understanding how your emotions impact your evening. I mean, your life. I'm sorry. What impacts your emotions? Okay. Looking at negative emotions that control one's life or outcome, how to change those emotions, and how to use your emotions to grow. Okay. Reprogramming your life experiences so you can have a better outcome. Okay. Now, what I would tell you guys is this: with this book, it's not going to go straight into boom, mastering your emotions. It has to look at some backstory as to how the brain operates and how things are structured and wired in our brain for us to know how to handle different situations and emotions as they come. Okay. So I'll share this with you guys this evening for my online people. I know we're just doing this solely online. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything that you want to be asked or answered or what have you, please chime in. Okay. Please feel free. Okay. To share how you feel or thoughts or questions. And then also, I had said earlier, if you also need a digital copy of the book, please let me know because I don't know. I don't know everyone who's all retrieved the book or not. And I have a digital copy of the book for you guys. Okay, if you want access to it. So previously, when I did the group, I just when I did the first training, I was asking everyone their thoughts on how do you feel within the moment. I know with it being 7:08 at night on a Wednesday, if you want to drop an emoji of how you feel at the moment. Me and my wife is doing a this like marriage thing where it keeps sending me different links of asking me how I feel every hour on the hour. And it's pretty interesting because it kind of ties into this relating to if you feel stressed, if you feel irritated, overwhelmed, if you feel calm, if you feel hungry. And so chime in if you guys have an emoji that you would like to put. We got Minister Carolyn. She has a smiley face. That's awesome. And if you have a specific emoji, if it's something that, you feel like, hey, I feel tired. Okay. We got Sister Danielle. She got Excited. Good. Okay. All right. So um earlier, I mean, like I said, when I did the first time, I wanted to kind of show you guys the different emojis that you all have. Um that that's a plethora of emotions. You have, I don't know if you all can see this, but we definitely have a plethora of emotions, from happy, surprised, we have fearful, angry, disgust, sad. So I wanted you guys to understand the power of emotions and how we go through our day, and we may experience these different emotions day in and day out, but being able to tap in and knowing how those emotions impact our well-being throughout the day, especially if you're getting information, if it be news about a loved one, or if you've gotten a promotion on your job, if you are experiencing hunger, like you are hungry, or you just don't know how to feel. There's always an emotion that's attached to different feelings. And if you guys would like a copy of this Wheel of Emotion, definitely let me know. I love the color code because it looks at the diagram of the different levels, from the happy all the way through curiosity and joyful or successful, all the way to the negative side, as far as mad, jealous, furious, violated, different things of that nature. So just wanted you guys to be aware of the different emotions. And so, which leads to what I had mentioned before, how we experience a multitude of emotions throughout an hour, within the hour basis. Did you guys know that there's a shift of your emotions per hour, 10 to 20 shifts of emotions per hour, which means I have found some research um, where I came across this psychiatrist that all she studies is the brain, and she did some research on um, an average. We as individuals tend to experience an average of 200 different emotions within a day, and I want you guys to let that sink in and think about that. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. I see Minister Carolyn said diving off into the bed, and that's always a good feeling, being able to get some rest. But 200 emotions throughout a 24-hour time span. That's a lot of emotions that a person can experience from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed. And so it's going to be important to know why mastering your emotions is so important during this small group, because we have so many other things that we can relate to, such as like other reference points, such as the Bible, or such as like other reading material, if it be 30 days of how to live a healthy life, or teenagers read the driver's ed book, or just different things that we have as reference points to know how to direct our life. But it's such a coincidence that we have other reference points, such as this paper here, the book called Master Your Emotions. And what it says is a practical guide to overcome negativity and better manage your feelings. Okay. So I'll definitely get that to you, Jayla, and anyone else who desires to have a copy of the book. I put a couple of different emotions up here that we all experience. We will all experience at some point in our life, such as dealing with rejection, guilt, envy, jealousy, and it doesn't have to always be negative. It could be positive. Father's feeling happy, joyful, calm, excited, things of that nature. Okay, so just a brief recap, understanding how our emotions impact our life. Once again, the negative emotions and learning ways to overcome, and changing your story. Um, I plan to have some future events that I need to get with different leaders in our ministry about. And so I want you guys to know that I really been hearing um, I've been really hearing some things that I feel is needed for our youth, And so I'm going to get with Sister Jayla as well as the other leaders about a plan to try to address our youth when it comes to their voice, changing your story. Okay. All right. So as I move forward, I have a video. I don't know if I'm able to show the video, but I would love to show it. It's very, very short. It's like 3 minutes, and it's gonna talk about why our emotions are the way they are in regards to the brain and how it's wired. I'm gonna see if I can make this possible. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can do so. And if not, then I'll definitely hold on a second. Y'all give me a sec. And I might have to get media to help me out with it because I didn't think about the the tech side of it on if it being able to go through. Let me see. Uh-oh. Hold on. And if I can't get it up, then what I'll do is I'll just send out the video. But there's a 2 to 3 video clip that I want to have for you guys to be able to see, because in the text there is it's talking about our brain and how we have chapter 1 in the book. It talks about what is an ego, and I wanted to, like I said, talk about the importance of how our brain is wired. So, with that being said, it kind of makes it a little challenging to get the engagement of the questions. So, like I said, as I go through the online part of it, if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask while I'm reading from the text. Okay. So, with that being said, um, I'll just skip this slide here. But what it talks about in the text here, it says that our brain is on here. It says our brain's function and how it stays on survival mode. So, with that being said, I'm gonna read to you guys what it mentions. It says your ego plays a major role in shaping the way you feel, right? As far as just your brain function. It says, thus, to gain more control over your emotions, it is fundamental to understand what your ego and how it works, right? So, in regards to being able to master, something that we deal with day in and day out, that we do have control over. We have control over our emotions, and we just got to know how to get a grasp on doing those things as they come. It's such a coincidence. Today, I was doing group, and I had a good friend of mine who is a retired pharmacologist, and he has had long history of working on different things regarding the heart, and um, he's done some phenomenal work in the medicine field, and he's retired. But he talked to our participants today about the brain and dopamine, and um, dealing with euphoria and choices and neuroplasticity, all these big old words. But it was right on time based off me getting some education about, the brain functioning and how we are as people. Because, you know, as the book on here talks about, and it's in chapter 2, and it's called What is the Ego? If you guys have it, it's chapter 2 called What is the Ego? And I'm reading from the section where it talks about the ego refers to your identity of who you are as a person, and it constructs your way of life. But also, it goes into saying that, far as our ancestors, how they grew up and they experienced different things such as rejection and not knowing how to go through life and living on survival mode, and it shaped their perception. um, and so, how it does when it shapes your perception, of course, some things might be major to others when you deal with rejection, okay, or Like you go to work and you had a bad interaction or poor interaction with your coworker or your supervisor. So automatically, what happens is this person has a thought as if that they are being judged or they're being viewed as um, like they don't, they're not accepted per se. But ultimately, what's happening is now, as I mentioned on this screen here, is talking about, dealing with, rejection from work, or and then how your brain could translate that over into past experiences when you've been rejected from maybe friendships or relationships. And then ultimately your brain tends to develop this infatuation of, a fixed delusion of how you're, emotional you can be or tend to be. And then it causes this perception of, oh, no one cares about me, no one likes me, no one loves me, or, I'm not the cool person. And so honestly, our brain does some interesting things when it comes to that survival mode. And then also, the how the ego sets us apart from everyone else. Okay. Um, Chapter 2 also goes into how the ego can either work in a good direction or a negative direction. Um, I took a lot of notes when I was reading over this chapter and other chapters moving forward. But it also, I wanted to read you guys what it indicated, the importance of the are you aware of your ego? And I wanted to see if you guys can follow this. Or if you had any questions, please send your response. But on here it says your understanding of the way your ego works depends on your level of self awareness. Ultimately, being able to know how who you are as an individual and your self awareness. It says people at the lowest level of consciousness are not even aware of the ego exists. So we're not walking around, you know, wondering about our ego. You may have some people who may feel as if you have a big ego or your ego is low or what have you, and no one is really walking up to the individual saying, your ego is bad or your ego is good per se. But ultimately, having that self awareness and recognizing that that there's something that's taking place with your personality and your interactions with others, or just your overall being self. And so it says, on the other hand, highly self conscious people can see through their ego. They understand how belief works and how excessive attachment to set of beliefs can create suffering in their life. It also goes on to saying these individuals become the master of their mind and are at peace with themselves. So ultimately, um, being able to the goal is to have that self-awareness, but also having your ego to a point where you're able to recognize the importance of mastering your emotions and not um, being in a position where you are allowing life to dictate who you are as an individual day in and day out. um, I mean, me personally, I would love to have that number to be reduced of 200 emotions within an hour. Like, I mean, we have some level of control of how we're feeling within situations, not allowing, every moment of the day to control us day in and day out and through in and throughout. And that can become exhausting. That can become very overwhelming. And then, like I mentioned previously, we could be in positions where, as we go through life, we can tend to be in a position where it can, um, we get in these moments where we can get in our own heads, and as we get in our own heads, now, you know, goes back to, like I said, no one cares about you in your perception. No one cares. Or, hey, I'm loved. And you don't really think about those different things until something occurs, which I love this image here because it gives the overall depiction of how the brain operates. So if you look over to the left hand side, you see dopamine, and really dopamine, it is a interesting complex thing. And what I mean by that is our brain tends to um, become very dependent on what we entertain. I learned that today doing my training when I was with our retired physician, and he explained how, our brain could enjoy different things, if it be drugs, if it be, sex, or if it be television, or if it be social media. And then what happens is, if we, as our dopamine goes elevated, then we're going to continue to do, we continue to do the things that brings us enjoyment and excitement. But there is a word or something that helps us control our dopamine and gives us that choice. That word is a big word called neuroplasticity. Ultimately, what it does is it allows us to be able to um, incorporate different things that causes us to know how to control our brain functioning. And we can get into that at a later time. But an overall, or an example of that would be, incorporating things like yoga or meditation, things that's going to keep us grounded and bring us back to, our perception of our self-awareness, and recognizing that we are, who we are. We're not allowing the world to tell us who we are as individuals. Okay. All right. So the text, the book actually goes more in talking about the ego and your identity. As it goes on, it says, as your brain is primary concern is either your happiness nor your peace of mind. On the contrary, your ego is restlessness. It wants you to be a go-getter. Your brain wants you to be a go-getter. It wants you to do and have and achieve great things. You can become a somebody. As we already mentioned, your ego needs an identity to exist. The way it does it is through identification with things, people, places, and ideas. But one thing I want you guys to understand is, as you go through society and go through life, your identity, you're being identified in different levels. From, it could be your home life, as you're being identified at your home life, to personal life, professional, church life. you know um it's kind of sad to really, give a depiction of like today's society, because like, from the naked eye of who we see is like in our entertainment sector, you'll see someone, on a television show, such as like a Bill Cosby, or, R. Kelly, or whatever, and you see them as different entertainers, but then reality shows them in a different limelight of, hey, they've done something wrong, they've done something inappropriate. And that's that brain constantly wanting to be fed to get different, levels of high, if that makes sense. Being excited and not knowing if they're going to get caught, or living a double life, if that makes sense. So it's very interesting, and having that self-awareness. And but the book goes on talking about, the identity, such as your physical, your body, your friends, acquaintances, parents, couples, beliefs, your belief system. Um, so it's a lot. So, and it goes by, like I said, your perception of life, as far as how you are as being viewed. Um, if it be like, people know who you are from your church, that you're affiliated with, maybe political views, your employer, and having that overall self awareness. Okay. Uh, I thought I did this. Hold on. It didn't save. Well, it's a diagram that I had saved to my slide. I don't know why I didn't save it, but I had a diagram that I added at the last moment. I didn't save it, but the um I've used in counseling before, when I've worked with individuals, and I've talked about um different life events that has taken place, and ultimately those things shape our foundation and our perception. What I mean by that is, if you have an event, and I wish I can show the visual. Let me see if I got. I know it might not be on here, but nope. I apologize, but there's a visual of let me see. I got it right here. I am going to let me see if I can upload another one right quick. I want to show it to you guys. I got to do that. Y'all give me a second. I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. All right. So let me see if I can get it to. I'm just going to pull up this diagram, and it'll give you more of a visual idea of how the brain operates when it comes to perception and ego and things of that nature. It's not a part of the book, but I just wanted to show you because it'll give more of a clear depiction of the ego. Let me see. One second. All right. Let me show you guys this here. So if you want to take, can you do that for me? If you want to take this diagram here, if you guys look at the triangle at the top, and in the middle it has event, and you have to the left you have thinking, and then to the top feeling, and then doing. I want you guys to see how events play a factor as far as in our thought process when it comes to your thought process or your judgment or perception. And so you'll have an event, something that will happen, right? And then what happens is, so an example, you get a person who lights get cut off, right? But then the thought process is, or you're thinking, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill, or I don't have the money or the means to afford this bill to get our lights turned back on. So next, the feeling could be, you can maybe feel depressed or sad or conflicted in what you feel that you need to do when it comes to trying to make a good decision. Well, you can have someone who can have some negative thought processes that the outcome behavior is, well, hey, I'm gonna sell drugs, or I'm gonna rob someone, whatever, but if you have someone who understands the importance of consequences and how all of those things play a significant factor, you'll have someone who's more responsible as to, well, hey, I need to ask family, or try to find a means to be able to get the money so I could be able to get my lights turned back on. So I felt like this was a great depiction of the example of saying, far as like how life happens, different events take place, and then being able to challenge that, because ultimately what happens is you'll have people that go through life and they'll get stuck believing that something is their fault, and it's they're the problem. And honestly, you as an individual or myself, we are not the problem, but we have to identify what the problem is before we know how to resolve, um, or know how to come to a conclusion or a solution to whatever is standing in our way. Going back to like our declaration, with us being life changers, not being in that place of unforgiveness. That's a big thing where, we can walk around with having that burden and that unforgiveness within our hearts. And, from the outside, you see this smile, but on the inside, this person can be hurting because they're feeling as if they're the reason why things have occurred. And so ultimately, we got to know that when we're dealing with the context of this information, as far as mastering your emotions, we got to know how our brain is wired. I would thoroughly encourage you guys to look at the context of, your emotions and how the ego impacts your emotions. And I want to share that with you guys because it says your ego impacts on your emotions. It says understanding the way your ego works can help you better control your emotions. To do this, you must first realize your current story is the result of a strong identification with people, things, and ideas. This strong identification is the root of many of the negative emotions you experience in your life. For instance, it goes on to say, when life doesn't unfold according to your personal story, you get upset. All right. Um, and that's normal, that's natural. We've all endured situations where we have been maybe disappointed and upset with life, or upset because we got looked over for a job, promotion, or we didn't pass a test, or uh, we we lost a loved one. But yet we also have to understand that that's a part of life. The One of the greatest attributes of life, if somebody can type in the text, what do you think is one of the greatest attributes of life? What would you think it is? Type in the text real quick and tell me what you guys think it is, and I'm gonna give you the answer once you all give me your response. But also, it says on here, it says when someone challenges one of your beliefs, you become defensive. That's a big one. If a person comes to you and say, "Hey, why you ain't been to church this past Sunday?" An individual can become in there his or her feelings, like, "Why you all in my business? This, that, and the other." But ultimately, it could be a person who is seeing you in a different limelight of being the leader that you are, or the kingdom citizen that you are, and then ultimately, you're like, well, hold on. You become defensive as if this person is trying to get in your personal business, but yet they're probably is like, well, I see something in this individual. To I want this person to get to grow higher, and be at a place where they can grow and impact one's community. All right, so we got two individuals who said living and the walk. Now I asked the question, being able to adapt. Guess what? Your greatest asset in life. I love those answers, and none of them are wrong. The true answer is dealing with failure, knowing how to experience failure and bouncing back from failure. The reason why failure is the greatest asset in life, because as you go through life, you're going to experience failures. You're going to experience setbacks. You're going to experience barriers. But yet, we can all agree or we can all disagree. You know, we as individuals have dealt with failures in life, and we got to know how to work through those different challenges that's going to unfold, because as you go through life, there's not a book on how to deal with a heartbreak, girlfriend 101, boyfriend 101. There's no book on my mom told me that her and my parents going through a divorce. No one is going to be prepared for that. Or the loss of a loved one, especially if you had a big mama and or uncle or granddad that you was very close to, and then all of a sudden, you know, God called them home, and they took their last breath. But yet, dealing with those different setbacks of life and knowing how um, that we can be able to deal with those losses that we've taken, and having a different perception about life. And it's not to say, you just take it for what it is, but also um, understanding that life is going to happen, but how do you recognize that your feelings are valid, and it's okay to cry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to say, hey, I need help. I don't, it's nothing wrong with saying I need help. that's why I really admire the people in our ministry. Like, um, I really want my desires for us to be all real with each other. We could be real with God because He knows our hearts. We could be real with maybe Bishop or what have you. But guess what? What happens when you look at yourself in the mirror and you have to face yourself at the end of the day? At the end of the day, you want to know that you've done your best and you've done your all. And so that's why I feel like this book is so powerful. But on here, um, the chapter of one, well, chapter two, it talks about, well, the last part of chapter two, on the last page of chapter two, um, it focus. I know I didn't hit on some points about the ego and how um, your ego tends to feel superior, but on here it focuses on how your ego becomes superior based off different negative things, and we've all been there. But of course, it says gossiping, manifesting a superiority complex, looking for fame, being right, complaining, and seeking attention. You got to be careful about that, because as you go through life, and especially when you have people who will go through situations, and they get a promotion and you get the big head, and you have to be careful about that, because I've worked around people who they just want titles, and at the end of the day, once you get that title, I mean, that title doesn't make you as a person, but yet your ego can grow. I mean, I literally have worked with other therapists who have said to me, in you know, I'm not going to go to this training unless it puts letters behind my name. And I'm like, wow, that's all you about? You just want letters behind your name? And at the end of the day, I mean, that is not a healthy outlook when it comes to dealing with people, or helping a population, if it be the less fortunate, if it be youth, if it be homelessness, if it be anyone. We all are in a positions, should be in positions to want to serve. But yet, it's sad that we are in a society that our ego gets to a place where we look above others, and we stick our nose up at those who we feel like that's not at a place where they or stick up our nose at a place where um we're better than someone else, and that's not cool at all. Okay. um so, like I said, I'm gonna get you guys the book. It says on here now. I'll just let you guys know this evening, for this evening purposes. I'll stop at chapter three, and chapter three is called "The Nature of Emotions." Okay. Um, what I'll do is I'm gonna definitely stay on course with giving you guys the meat of the book, but if you guys don't have a copy of the book, please let me know so I can get it to you this evening. I want to make sure you have it. But also, too, I want to make sure that if you have any questions, please ask. I'm not going to sit here as if I know everything, because I don't. However, I'm gracious to be around a lot of uh, successful and knowledgeable men and women that would they'll stop whatever they're doing whenever I call, and they'll take my phone call to answer questions that I may not know. This walk is still new to me, but I just wanted to honestly, personally, thank you guys for being online. Some of my slides hadn't gotten chopped up for some apparent reason, and I wasn't able to show the YouTube video, but there was a 2 or 3 minute YouTube video that I had that talked about the brain and how the brain operates in regards to survival mode and dopamine, and all of that good stuff ties into chapter two. But next time I be able to present I'll be able to, I can show that video, and I can also show resources, visual resources for you guys to be able to have to gleam on to say, okay, that's what he was talking about. Okay. Um, for all my participants online, hey, if you guys have any questions, you could definitely send me a message if you want to send a private message, or if you want to type in here. I didn't have anybody ask any questions this evening. I'm one of those. I want you guys, if you had any questions, throw them out there. But then also too, like I said, if you do need a book, definitely let me know. Let me see if I can do this right quick. Let me see. All right, let me see if I can throw the book in there. I thought I did. I guess it didn't go. Miss Carolyn, you so funny. Yes, I'm all right. All is well, Minister Carolyn. I am doing good. It's just been a busy day for myself, dealing with some corporate people that I had to talk to today. Had to do group at work, and then I had to do a telehealth. Now I'm doing this, so I'm busy. So, like I said, what I'll do is I'll definitely send out the book electronically through the LCC page, men's group, as well as the leadership group if you guys don't have it. And then what I'll do is I'll be a little bit more descriptive on what chapter we'll be focusing on the next time moving forward. And it should be chapter 3. But yes, you guys, listen, I'm going to end a little early tonight. If y'all don't have any questions for me or any comments, I definitely appreciate each and every one of you guys that was able to chime in. Last thing, if you guys have any suggestions regarding mental health, definitely let me know. Or if you know of anyone who may need mental health services, let me know. Okay. So I can be able to help them, help those who may stand in need. Um, I think I'm missing something. Oh, also, like I said, I'm gonna get with Sister Jayla regarding a vision I have. Also, I'm gonna get with Bishop about a vision that I have. I want to partner with a couple of other churches to try to get some people some certifications that's going to help Shelby County and probably surrounding Birmingham. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, you all have a blessed evening. As my son Caden says, y'all keep following the way, preaching the truth and living the life because the life is good. All right. So y'all have a good evening. I love you guys. Y'all take it easy. Bye-bye. All right.